Hello. We want to welcome you today to the Community Voice, a show where we find interesting topics to give to the community. And today we have an interesting topic. Today our show is going to be about bipolar. I'm sure a lot of you all have heard the words. I've heard jokes about it. I've heard uh, odd comments about it. But today we wanted to present to you some faces of bipolar because bipolar is a real problem. Now, we by no means are sitting here as experts. We only want to present to you some information about bipolar. And today we have on our panel with us today, to my left, we have retired First Sergeant Jackie from the Army, Jackie Simeon, who is our patient, our guest with bipolar. Then on my right, we have Ms. Robin Bennett from Robin Haven of Hope, and her group reaches out to the community to help all of those that are in need. We want to give you some information about bipolar, and most of the time that you talk about it, no one really can give you a good definition of it. We know that it deals with mood swings, but today we're going to just talk about a little bit about what happens when you have been diagnosed as being bipolar. And right now, I'm going to give over to Miss Robin, who is a friend of Jackie's, and we're going to just see what this disease is all about.
Good evening, Miss Shirley. Good afternoon, Miss Shirley. And thank you for having me. And Jacqueline, thank you for being a part of our show today.
You're welcome.
And thank you for coming and sharing with the community what the face of bipolar. Bipolar has many faces. As I said earlier, actors, actresses, authors, poets, musicians, and political leaders. When we say bipolar, we do, Miss Shirley, use bipolar loosely. Today we're going to learn the real terms of it, the real symptoms of it. And now when we talk about bipolar, we won't say it as loosely as we've been saying it in the past.
Yes.
And today we're going to say, Jacqueline is going to tell us about bipolar. We're going to start by asking you, your full name, Jacqueline, if you would share that with our TV audience.
My name is Jacqueline Ruth Simeon.
Okay, and Jacqueline, how long did you serve in the service?
I served 20 years.
Can you give us your rank?
My rank is a sergeant first class.
And what was your job in the Army?
I had several jobs. I was a chemical operations specialist. I worked with logistics, and I was a non-commissioned officer in charge of a optical laboratory unit. And my last 8.5 years, I was with the United States Army Recruiting Command.
I'm going to ask you, when you were diagnosed, but before you answer that, I want to share with our audience a list of people who has been diagnosed with bipolar. I'm going to start with the actors and actresses such as Sonny Corinthos, which is Maurice Bernard, Richard Dreyfuss, Carrie Fisher, Tony Sattler, authors who was diagnosed with manic depression, such as Kurt Van Gogh and Mark Twain, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, Francis Scott Key Fitzgerald, and John Keith, and Ernest Hemingway. Musician who was diagnosed with manic depression. This is putting a face to it. Ozzy Osbourne, Kurt Cobain, Macy Gray, and Ray Davis and Ben Moody. Political leaders who was diagnosed with manic depression, so they say, because these leaders were before any of our time. Such as our 16th president, Abraham Lincoln, our 26th president, Theodore Roosevelt, and the great Alexander the Great. So, Jackie, tell us when you were diagnosed with this disease.
I was diagnosed when I was 38 years old, and it was 1998. That's when I was diagnosed.
Okay. You're diagnosed now, and I'm trying to get a feel of when you say you were diagnosed now. Did this diagnosis come from symptoms that you had? What made them feel that this was something that you had? To even diagnose you, a lot of times we go to the doctor when we have symptoms, and we go when we're hurting somewhere. But what prompted you to go to the doctor for them to diagnose you as being bipolar?
Well, my father died, and he had 2.5 months to live. And I was there for that 2.5 months, and I watched and watched and watched, and I was traumatized by it. I refused to leave his side. They kept wanting me to put people in the Army, and I was able to do that by just giving them referrals, but I couldn't concentrate or anything, and my bipolar was hereditary. So I took the paperwork to a psychiatrist that was treating my father, and I showed him a picture of my dad, and he told me how smart my dad was and everything, and then he started asking me about what was some of the symptoms that I was able to work a whole lot with hardly no sleep and things like that, and that's when he gave me a medication called Depakote, and he explained to me that if the Depakote made me feel any better, then he would continue to he'll start treating me for bipolar, but he would need to know the outcome of the particular drug, Depakote.
Okay, so what you're saying to me is what prompted you to go to the doctor was the stress of your dad being sick, the stress of you watching him as he was. You stated that he was only had a short time to live. You were not getting any rest. Were there periods of irritability? I guess what I'm saying is a lot of us have stressful moments in our lives. We go through various things every day. But apparently with you, that stress led a little bit further, and it prompted you to go a little bit further to find out what was going on with you. Is that what you're telling us today here?
Well, I wasn't surprised when they mentioned bipolar to me at all, because my father had it. Mm-hmm. It's hereditary. Not in everybody's case, but I was open for that because I was having a situational stress which can lead on, and I had no problem with him telling me I had bipolar because it's hereditary. Okay.
And I guess this show, Robin, is to show that bipolar is a real problem. It is not something we sometimes joke about it. You'll hear people say, "Oh, she's just bipolar," but bipolar actually is really a disease, and it's a treatable disease. And I'm glad Jackie is here with us today. To let us know that yes, it is real and it is treatable, and that it's not anything to make a joke about. It's not anything to make light of, because there are people out there that that are suffering with this. Now, if when I read about this, because like I say, I'm no expert in this, and I did not know, and thankful for all the internet and all the information that you can, the books that you can read, and looking at some of the signs and some of the symptoms that
Right.
that are there. Yes, I could probably pick out one or two of those that would be. That I could say I had, So I guess what I'm trying to do, what I'm trying to get to is that is there a combination of symptoms? Is there something that other than I don't know if my dad is bipolar or not. I don't know if anybody in my family is bipolar or not. But if I have some of these signs or symptoms, should I go? And have somebody check me. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Because we want to help someone with this by you telling your story. Robin, you want to?
Yes, ma'am. Miss Shirley, I think, and I'm like you, I have, by reading some of these symptoms are me. We all have these symptoms. If you read the diagnosis, the prognosis of, the diagnosis of bipolar, and you can sit back and you honestly look yourself in the mirror and you'll say, hey, look, I got some of this too. So I don't think it's just not for you to say, oh, this person has it. We all have these things. And I think in the African American community, if we look in the mirror and really think hard and think about these symptoms, there's nothing wrong with seeing a psychiatrist and psychologist, because I have a problem with sleeping. I have things that happened to me with my hands, and I couldn't handle it. So I had to see a psychiatrist and a psychologist. And I'm openly saying this because someone else may be dealing with something. I'd rather go see the doctor than to shoot it out, scream it out, yell it out, because when you're doing that, you have a problem.
Okay. And with you, Jackie, and the way she's talking here, what would you being diagnosed? You've already told us your diagnosis is bipolar. You are getting treatment for it. What would you say to someone out there in the audience if they feel that this is the problem that they have? How would you tell them to handle that? What would you advise them to do?
They can't sleep.
Well, if they thought they had any of these symptoms, if they thought that they may be bipolar, how would you advise them?
Well, today in the computer era we have going, she or anybody else can look in the computer and it'll tell them the symptoms themselves. If it's there and they feel like they're strong enough in the computer, then I suggest that they seek help, because it's not something you're going to be able to take care of by yourself.
That's a good point. Now, that's what we're talking about here, because if we try to fix it ourselves, we can't fix it ourselves.
No,
is
ma'am.
What you're saying. You
No,
need to
ma'am.
if you're truly diagnosed as bipolar, you need to seek help.
That's
you
true.
need to seek help. Give me some of the things that have happened in your life since you've been diagnosed as bipolar. How has your life been since you've been diagnosed as bipolar?
Well, it depends, because right now I feel like I can go out and conquer the world. That's because I'm manic as we speak. But there were times I didn't want to live like that, depressed all the time. But then I couldn't take my life. I mean, I would traumatize my family. And I could do this fine. There were times that I spent more time than I wanted to in the hospital, and I just tell my friends I was going to have an overhaul, engine overhaul. But we were all in there for a reason, and it's because you need, or I know that I do, because I can't tell anybody how to live their life, but I can let you know that you become number one. Nobody else. You become number one because it's your illness and it's my illness. I need to take my medication every day faithfully. And if for some reason I don't carry it with me and I need to take it as soon as I get home, I can't expect my doctor to treat me properly if I'm not treating my own self properly.